Hey everybody, it's Kyle, and today I will be reviewing Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. The movie stars Daniel Dya Lewis as Reynolds Woodcock, a famous and meticulous dressmaker in post-war London in the 1950s, whose very specific life becomes disrupted once he meets a young woman named Alma, who at first becomes his muse and then becomes his lover. Now, of course, this movie is a Best Picture nominee, but I was also excited to see it because it's yet another Paul Thomas Anderson film. The man is an incredible filmmaker, and he's once again teaming up with Daniel Day Lewis. And their previous film, There Will Be Blood, contains one of the greatest performances of all time by Lewis. And unfortunately, this is going to be Daniel Day Lewis's final film. He has stated he is going to quit acting, which is really upsetting because why? So I, of course, was also excited to see what Lewis's final performance was going to be like. And whilst I don't think it's his best, I think There Will Be Blood and My Left Foot are definitely my favorites of his. He is fantastic in this movie. It's like saying that Tom Hanks is really good in a movie. It's like the norm for you to say that. It's almost as if you just don't want to say it because it's so true. But once again, he is fantastic. He does use an accent in this movie, but it is always on point. There's never a moment where I felt like it slipped and I could just hear his regular accent, and I thought it was beautiful. The character of Reynolds Woodcock is definitely a perfectionist, but he's also, as I said before, extremely meticulous with everything he does. He wants everything to be in a specific place. And if you interrupt that, you could disturb his whole day. And as a dressmaker, he is absolutely focused on making sure that that dress is the most beautiful dress ever made. And if it's anything short of that, he becomes sick to his stomach. If I could describe Phantom Thread in one word, it would be elegance. This is an absolutely beautiful movie. I'm telling you, from moment one, you are not only in this world with an incredible musical score that absolutely sets the tone for the film. Now, the funny thing is, if this movie was released 2 years ago, I probably would have said I would never watch this movie because in my mind, I would say to myself, this isn't my type of movie, or I just wouldn't really get invested in it. Romance films are genuinely not my forte. If you guys have been following me for a long time, you know that. But honestly, this movie was just so beautiful that it just worked for me. It really did. Now let's talk about the character of Alma, played by Vicky Krieps, who basically comes into Reynolds' life. This is undoubtedly a great breakthrough performance for her. She did a fantastic job, and her chemistry with Daniel Day Lewis's character was just amazing. You totally felt like these two were connected, even when they weren't saying anything to each other. However, as the film goes along, Alma begins to really understand who Woodcock is as a person. The fact that he is incredibly narcissistic, and he will say things that seem completely unapologetic, and he will mean them. It reminds me of something my mother told me a long time ago, that you don't really know a person unless you live with them. And this movie completely proves that point. Because on the outside, you could view Woodcock as a very kind gentleman, but on the inside, I always had this feeling that he had a very unstable edge, especially with the story he tells Alma about his mother. British actress Lesley Manville also stars in this movie, and she plays his sister Cyril, and I think she does a really good job of helping to ground Reynolds in reality, but at the same time also explain to Alma just what kind of a person he really is. The movie looks incredible, and also the musical score, as I stated before, is just incredible. The main theme of the movie is something that will absolutely stick with you. In fact, it's still ringing in my ears. I've actually heard it on YouTube last night, and it is so beautiful. Now, having said all of that, I do have a couple of issues with this movie. The movie, to me, definitely had some pacing problems. I think it did get a little slow in the middle act, and it just felt a little bit boring at times because there's not an insane amount of plot in this movie. Not a heck of a lot happens throughout the entire runtime, but I was still very intrigued, and the fact that the movie was so tonally beautiful, it really did keep me excited for it. That being said, though, it definitely is a slow-paced film, so I can understand if some people might say, oh my god, the movie was so dull. I'll have no problem understanding that. There's also a scene that takes place on New Year's that I felt could have been handled a little differently, especially at the end of that scene, because I felt it was going to go a certain way, but it just didn't for whatever reason, and I was a little bit upset with that. And, you know, obviously that was the director's choice to have the characters go in this direction, but I felt if they went in that direction, it would have worked out differently, and in my opinion, better. And finally, there's the ending, and I don't know if this is a point of contention with other reviewers because I haven't watched them, but a choice is made, and for me, it didn't work. I personally didn't understand the choice. Not why it was made, just the choice to do what was done. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I don't know, it just for me it just didn't quite work. I can't really see myself rewatching this film, at least not in the near future, but I definitely really enjoyed Phantom Thread, and this is definitely the kind of movie, like I said before, if this were me 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have given it the chance I gave it. Mainly because of the fact that it's a romantic drama, but I really enjoyed this movie, and I think I'm starting to enjoy romance films. Not the sappy ones, but the ones that take well-developed characters and put them into situations where the conflict feels real, and it feels like it has a lot of weight, a lot of consequences. And Phantom Thread is definitely one of those films. I thought Daniel Day Lewis's final performance was great. Vicky Krieps did a great job in it. I'm going to give Phantom Thread an A-. So if you guys saw Phantom Thread, what did you think about it? I'd like to hear your comments. I'll send them down in the comment section below. I'd also like to hear from you guys. What is your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film? And what's your favorite Daniel Day Lewis movie? I'd like to know that. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned.